and they mean it. There's a sense when you're desperate, that's a good time to say, I got to learn to pray. Not only when I'm desperate, but now's a good time to start. My started when I was in pain for 2 years and could not do anything. Now, C.S. Lewis, that I know quite well, he said he liked to be conveniently sick. Now, what that means is you're sick enough you can't do your normal stuff, but you're well enough that you can lay in bed and read all day. I like that. That doesn't bother me at all. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't read. Sometimes 2 or 3 days before I could fall asleep because of the pain. I was left with nothing to do but, you know what? To pray. And I had a need to pray. And at that point, that was a great starting point. 2 things happened. I was desperate, and after God brought healing, my schedule was clean. There was nothing on it. And so at that point, I could start all over again, and I'd say, what is going to stay in my schedule no matter what? And what's going to fall off the table if there's not enough time? And prayer at that point moved to a higher priority. If it was really important, finally, I had a real good chance to put it in that place. The second thing the Rwandans would say, and probably your doctrinal statement says it too, God is big. It's one thing to say it doctrinally, it's another thing to believe it in your heart, that you just can't imagine that there's anything that God can't do. And so you start praying like God is big, like He could do something huge. As I was learning this, I used to say to students, when you're doing a project or you're going somewhere, make sure you have one big prayer request that's as big as your God. Don't feel bad. He'll decide what happens, but pray big. My students one day knew I was going with a group of students to Rwanda, and one of them raised their hand and said, what's your big prayer request? And I stopped for a second and said, I don't have one. And then they said, didn't you tell us that we were supposed to have a... No, keep quiet. Quit listening in class. I said, I'll have something by Monday. All weekend long, I could only think of one thing. It wouldn't leave, and I got there on Monday. What's the request? I said, I can't get it out of my mind. When I go to Rwanda, my request is that I'll be able to visit the president of the country and share the gospel with him. And they said, that's big. I said, it feels big to me. I have no idea how you do something like that. And our schedule was full of ministry. The last day, I knew I would have most of the day free. I had no idea how to go about it, but I knew a group of people were praying. And so I grabbed 2 Rwandan, 2 college students, and told them, I want to go see President Kagame tomorrow. And do you have an idea of how I could go about that? And they said, that is impossible. Don't even think about it. No, you can't do that. I said, I'm not asking you if I can do it. I'm asking you for some suggestions. I want to get an idea. And the one went, no. Well, the one person started thinking about it. He thought about it all night. The next day, he comes and he says, I have a plan. I said, I want to hear it. So he gave me the plan. I went, whoa, that's a good plan. He told me how to dress. He told me where they were going to drop me off. He told me that when I got to the gate with the guy with the gun, the first level of security, that I should say, I am here, this is my last day in Rwanda, and I have a gift for the president. And I did. Multnomah students put together a full library for Rwanda worth between $500,000 and $1 million. I had a gift and a video talking about it. And they said to me, that first guy, he's the hardest person to get past. Well, I said that, and he looked at me, and then he looked like, this guy could be important. We might be an ambassador. He didn't say that, he just looked at me, and I could tell he was afraid he could get in trouble if I was important. I did not tell him I wasn't important. That's for him to figure out, not for me to tell him. He let me right in. He goes, come on. He brought me in, handed me off to another group of guards. Before an hour was up, I had gotten through 5 levels of security. And I was standing in front of a lady that was an assistant to the president, and behind that wall was the president's office. And I said, well, I'm pretty close. She's going to have to turn me down 6 times before I'll leave. So I'd say, well, I'm here to see the president. She'd say, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't have an appointment, but it's my last day in Rwanda. I'm here to see the president. I said, I thought that would work and get rid of him. No. She said, well, he's busy right now, he can't talk. I said, no problem. I'll just sit right here till he's available. Oh, okay. Well, we did that for 6 times. And finally, I said to her, ma'am, that is the nicest I have been turned down 6 times in a row. And I have here a letter where I have written and put the gospel in. I would like you to give it to the president, and I have a gift right here. I'd like you to give this to the president. And she said, I'll put it on his desk. And then I said, he might be interested, so could I get your phone number just in case? And she said, you know, I think you need the president's phone number. It probably changes every day, but still a piece of paper with a number on it. And it hit me. You don't know. In a sense, I didn't make it. But if you have a big God, pray big. Have at least one request that you can't imagine how it would be possible. And if somebody asks you why you're praying so big, tell them your God is big. And he loves doing big things, and he will make the decision. Jeremiah says that, Lord God, you've made the heavens and the earth by your great power and your outstretched arms. Nothing is too difficult for you. Great in counsel, mighty indeed. If that was your God, could you pray big? And my answer is, Jeremiah, you're right. There is nothing too difficult for you. Those words, that prayer, come right after Jeremiah did something very stupid. He bought land when land was worth nothing. The king of Zedekiah, the last king of Judah, is at the end of his reign. The Babylonians have been knocking at the door. In an ancient world, it took about 2 to 3 years to get over a large wall. You had to build a mound step by step by step, and hope they didn't have enough food, hope they didn't have enough water. It might take 2 years, but it's days away. The mound has been built, they're coming over that wall, and when they do, they're taking everything, and land is worth nothing. And God says, Jeremiah, buy some land. Why? because I'm bringing you back here. And when I bring the people back here, people are going to buy and sell. So I want you to give an illustration to them. So he buys land in his hometown of Anathoth, and he gets witnesses. By the way, he's in prison at the time. The king couldn't stand his prophecies, and so the king threw him in prison. Now the guards are all watching. He gets 2 witnesses. They take out deeds. They're signing them. They take out scales. They're weighing 17 shekels of silver. He's buying the land. It's worth nothing unless God is big enough to bring them all back after captivity. And Jeremiah believes he is that big. But probably somebody there said, I have a bridge in Brooklyn you might want to go. Jeremiah is convinced that they take those deeds and put them in jars so that they'll stand the test of time. And when they come back, his family has got some land. Oh, Lord God, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and your outstretched arm. Nothing is too difficult for you. The Rwandans will tell us, go ahead, pray like that's true. Rwandans pray long. Now I remind them that the Lord's Prayer is very short. They don't seem to notice. They will point to verses like, the elect who cry unto me day and night, will I not give them justice? Day and night. You know, a little prayer before a meal, I'm into that. But day and night, come on. That's getting a little bit extra. They do love to pray. Remember I said that we had that prayer team? They pray for the group that my students started called ABC. They said they named it so I could remember it. What's that about? It's called All the Bible in Community. And it describes well our Bible reading groups in community, orally, and peppered with prayer. And this team started to pray. I said, we can pray once a week, have a meeting, and pray for ABC. And we have a prayer relationship with the Bible Project in Portland. How many of you know about the Bible Project? Oh, that's good. I love the Bible Project. And so I find out later, when are they praying? How are they praying? I had somebody who spoke in Rwanda with them, and what I find out is some of them are praying every morning. Now that I knew, because when I was there praying with them, I could hear them. They called it the Bible Projectee. So I started to call it the Bible Projectee, you know. And then I found out I would see them sometimes coming out and past where I was, and I would go, Ninjoro? During the night? I found out they had prayed all night. And then I found out they were doing that twice a week. I asked them to pray for an hour. An hour's a long time. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time relating to the song, Sweet Hour of Prayer. That might be an oxymoron. When I pray for an hour, I never feel sweet. It's hard. And I couldn't believe it. Just utterly humble. The people that help me the most are the ones James are talking. The poor, rich in faith. And I remind them when they go, oh, our building is falling apart. Which isn't surprising. The walls are made of mud. It's free. And if you don't put enough plaster on them, they're gone pretty quick. They go, oh, we need this, we need this. And I look at them and I remind them, a nice building does not create faith. You have the things I'm hoping for in any church I'm at. And you have them right now. Let the wall fall. No. The hard part is getting the tin roof. So when it rains there, I was in the middle of a sermon and it started to rain. And I'm literally yelling to the translator. And then the translator is yelling. And then finally I say to the translator, God has decided the sermon is over. And the dancing began, which is pretty cool. Well, you won't pray long all of the time, but if you really think God is great and He's listening, it would be natural to pray longer like Jesus did from time to time, all night long. Like before, He picked the disciples. What do you do when you pray and you don't get an answer? I know what the Rwandans do. They keep praying. Now they must have the same question I have. Why did that happen? How come nothing happened? I really prayed. I meant it. I believed. And it didn't happen. It's not a bad question. Keep asking it as you read your Bible. But I think do what the Rwandans do. Keep praying. And don't let the question stop you from doing what we know is a command. So they say, God is big, He's commanded prayer. I have no reason to stop. I have a question, that's no reason to stop. So keep asking the question and thinking about it, because it's real. I think Daniel asked that question in chapter 10. He is mourning, fasting, praying, and we know how long. 21 days, he's just a mess. God has revealed certain things, and He has questions that He has to have answered, and he just gives himself physically, completely, to ask God for an answer. And for 21 days, nothing. The 21 days end, and he sees this angelic being that's described in some detail that causes him to be amazed. What does the man say? This angel, the spirit being, says to him, Daniel, from the first day that you started praying, your words were heard. He didn't feel it. 21 days, he's got a whole lot of nothing. He had no idea. But on the first day, the angel says, your words were heard, and I was sent. But when I was sent, the prince of Persia, the country of Persia, an evil spirit being most likely, resisted. I couldn't get to you. And then Michael, the archangel, he rose up and helped me, and that's the only reason I got here. Now think about that for a second. For 21 days, I think Daniel would say unanswered prayer. That's how it felt. And that's how it looked. But it would be a better description because he was told, I don't think we always are, but he was told he started a cosmic, angelic battle that was enormous and didn't know. A part of the nature of prayer is you won't always know what you start. But don't be surprised when you get to heaven and find out that the group that prays for an hour started some big things from happening that happened that they don't know about. Because I think prayer has been so hard through my life because it's an act of pure seeing stuff happen after I do something. I like to influence with my mouth. I like to make stuff with my hands. I like my feet to go somewhere and change something. I hope you do too. And when you do something like that, God does use you to make a change. But you can see it. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's one thing where you may not see it. And that's prayer. Your hands are not doing anything. Your feet aren't going anywhere. Your mouth is not speaking to another person to influence the world. None of that's happening. It's a pure act of faith to say, God, I'm asking you as a child to my Father, change the world. I think that's why I find it so hard. It's pure faith. But that's what we're called to. So a little pure faith, if we believe, will bring about some pure praying. I add one more. Prayer, I think the Rwandans realize, is hard work. They are amazed when I tell them I love long flights, which is good because I live in Rwanda. And the shortest flight you can get is about 22 hours. The longest I've had is about 44. And I tell them I get a little extra rest, and on those flights I try to read for 20 hours. Just push straight through, pick up a book. I'll have my New Testament, and I'll have a Kinyarwanda, the local language that I'm trying to learn, and I'll try to read the whole time. Well, it's a non-reading culture. They go, I can't believe it. How could you ever do that? And then I say to them, you pray for 20 hours. How can you do that? That's what I want to know. And watching them gives part of the answer. Now, many a time when I have prayed, it was partly prayer and partly sleep. Okay? College, got together with a buddy before breakfast. We got together in the side room, and we would pray, and sometimes I'd fall asleep during the prayer time. And I would wake up, and he was asleep. I realized we both were sleeping. I don't know how long, but there was no prayer going on. This was a sweet hour of prayer. There wasn't much prayer. This is important. How come I'm falling asleep? Well, maybe think about it this way. If you drive, sometimes you're tired. Do you make sure that you stay awake while you're driving? I hope so. Especially for the others in the car. I care about you too, but the other people in the car I'm caring about a little bit more. And you go, yeah, no matter what happens, you gotta do something. You've got to stay awake. And not just be barely awake, you've got to be concentrating because it's very important. Why the same thing? What would it take to be fully involved? And when you answer that question, go to it. Now, I know what the Rwandans would do. Sitting down, folding the hands, closing the eyes, they never thought of that. Students rarely ever sit down. When they're praying, they are walking all over the place. Sometimes within our group, you need a stoplight. You need a way of not running into people because there's movement all over the room. Now, that's not like a biblical form you have to do, but would that keep you awake? I rarely fall asleep while I'm walking. Just rarely. Now, I almost can't pray without And then there's usually clapping. When I clap, I go, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and then the request. And they shout, and they sing, and they jump a little bit. It's happening. Nobody's falling asleep. Whatever it takes, if you're doing something really important, like driving or praying, do whatever you have to do. There's a prayer group that prays for some people in Nepal that I'm praying for, and when I come back, I sometimes have a chance to be with them. I appreciate their commitment to this missionary couple. It's beautiful. The last time I prayed, it was in a room, and the lights were kind of down, a couple candles here and there, nice atmosphere. We're all sitting down, and one person is praying at a time, and I realized after about a minute, I can't do this. This is not going to work for me. So I didn't want to disrupt, but I had to get up and just circle the group while they were praying, and when it was my turn, came in and joined them. Whatever it takes, if you want to pray for more than 10 minutes, make sure that you are doing something that helps you to be 100% there. That must have been what Epaphras did. Remember that name? He's in the book of Colossians. He makes it in twice. Chapter 1, Paul says, I have never seen you in Colossae, but you heard the gospel through Epaphras. And apparently Epaphras left training with Paul and went into this little valley where there were 3 towns, Colossae, Hierapolis, and Laodicea, and presented the gospel, and it looks like there was a church in each one. So Paul says, you heard the gospel from him. He's with me. He's a fellow prisoner. He doesn't say a prisoner of Rome. He says he's a prisoner of Jesus Christ with me. And there is a difference between being a prisoner of Rome and a prisoner of Jesus. And he was proud of the fact, this is my friend. He came to the prison and is helping me here. And then he says in chapter 4, I can testify to him. He labors hard in prayer for you. That is what it feels like more to me, is labor. Like any kind of good work, where you know if you work hard, it's good things are going to happen. Think of prayer that way. Think of it as hard work that is work for the kingdom of God. And that God says he's going to use it to change things. Bible college, could you create a library for the school? Now, at first I'm thinking maybe they're going to give me a whole lot of money, and I'm going to go buy books. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Very quickly I realized they meant, could you create a library out of nothing? Then I told them I'm not so sure I know how to do that. And they said, we don't know how to do it. We thought maybe you would like to try. So I said, well, give me a week to think and pray. It was more thinking than praying at that point, but I said both. And at the end of the week, started and decided to get some student leaders together, present the project to them, and see what they think. That group said, yes, let's go. So we picked, I said, let's pick and pray for an amount of books that's beyond what we know we could do. And it ended up with 2 months to go before the end of school. It was 5,000 books. They have to be different books, and they have to be college level. And the Lord brought them in, I think, 2 days before graduation. Yeah, we're 25,000 maybe, out of nothing. And so I looked to the team and they said, when we come back, let's add 5,000 more. And I remember discouraging them because I said, now, you do know that the next 5,000 are going to be twice as hard as the first 5,000 because we don't need the same books. It's got to be 5,000 more different books. And they said, didn't you say to pray big? Yeah. Okay. They said, we want it to be 5,000. After all the students left, they were the ones presenting in the churches across the board. It hit me that we weren't praying big. At least that was the feeling I had. And I said to two of the staff who were helping, I said, I think we should pray big. I said, what do you mean? I said, why don't we pray that the 5,000 books come in before the students get back? They said, you do know the students are all gone. Oh, yeah, there's some. They're gone. And they're the ones collecting the books. Yes, I know that too. I'm aware that this is a prayer that I have no idea how it's going to happen. But let's pray for those 5,000 books. And so we did. I think it was just a small group of us. And all of a sudden I started getting phone calls. Going something like this. You don't know me, but I've heard about this project for this Bible college, and I'm a retired teacher. Could I bring 2,000 books over? I said, yeah, I think you can. And bring them on over. My most fun call was, you don't know me, but I've heard about this project. My brother gave all of his books, and he said I should give all of my books. I'm coming to visit him to Portland. Can I bring 1,000 books? I said, yes, you can. During the summer, 5,000 books came in. And we didn't have much of a plan. We're praying and we're just letting God be God and praying big. The students got back and said, we're going to have to add 5,000 more to it. I said, now you do know the next 5,000 will be harder than because these have to, they go, no. As it turns out, 15,000 came in. I can remember the celebration before graduation. Then we shut the whole program down and books kept coming. 5,000 more came after we ended the project. I would come to school in the morning and there would be 10 boxes in front of my door. I have no idea who put them there. Somebody heard about it, dropped off the books. So if you get to Rwanda, I will have the joy of showing you a library now of about 25,000 books, a college library, one of the biggest in that part of Africa. And to tell you the truth, I think our plan was a good one, but it wasn't semi-miraculous. It was just good. And God did something very, very big. I encourage you to pray most important thing you'll do today? Pray like you might start a